But the offense hasn't been working either in this 3-game stretch where the Cyclones have struggled so much. If you look at, I actually want to look at some clips here. I want to go way into the weeds on this because the way that teams have been defending Iowa State has been really fascinating to me. What did we talk about earlier, right? You have the 3 areas where you can attack a defense in basketball, right? You can attack the hoop, you can attack the middle, or you can try to score from the perimeter. And a defense can usually take away 2 of those 3. And what they've tried to take away, what Baylor did, what West Virginia did, and Cincinnati too, is they've taken away Audi and they've taken away the perimeter. And what Iowa State has not been able to do is attack the middle. So as an example of this, we're going to bring up first this clip. This is, I think, the very first possession of the West Virginia game. Now here, Iowa State does this properly. West Virginia extends. They try to take away Audi with the double team. They extend the defense way out beyond the 3-point line. And Iowa State makes them pay. Jada gets it into Reese Beatty, and Beatty scores a mid-range jumper. Perfectly done. But a couple possessions later, this is the 4th possession of the game. And what you see here, 4th, might have been 3rd. There's about 8 minutes to go first quarter. And again, defense, 3 defenders are extended way beyond the 3-point line, 3-4 feet. They have 2 on Audi. But they've pushed Williams way out onto the right wing. They have Beatty way back at the logo, right? They're up in her face. And then they kind of have 1 defender trying to manage both Kinsey Hare and Sydney Harris. So that's a 4-on-3 on the perimeter, right? And you should be able to win those. But in order to do that, you have to move the ball quickly. You have to get it around the 3-point line quickly to find the open woman in this case and get your 3-point shot. But when you extend the defense the way West Virginia has, when you push it way out, you can take away a lot of those perimeter passes. And that really stuck out to me in the West Virginia game specifically, was Iowa State couldn't make the perimeter passes. And for the most part, they weren't able to get in the middle. Because in this case, the defense is giving you all sorts of space in the middle. Like, it's wide open. But Iowa State wasn't able to get in there, and so they weren't really able to move the ball at all. It got stuck, created a lot of turnovers. There were so many bad passes in the second half of that game. But bad passes that were forced. It wasn't just a failure to execute the passing. It was a failure. It was a failure on Iowa State's part to identify where the space was. And you can see it right here in this play, right? They try to swing it around, and even though they have an advantage, the extended defense forces a deflection. On the next play, they turned the ball over. So now if we look at another possession, this is third quarter, I believe. This is in the second half. And once again, you have the setup where they push Jada Williams way out onto the wing, right? Iowa State spreads out on the perimeter, but they take away this pass on the top of the key. And this was something West Virginia did all game. They would force Iowa State to one side. They would take away the pass back to the middle of the court, and they would try to trap the ball on one side of the court. And what you're going to see as this play develops is that as Williams is holding the ball, she wants to get it into Audi, but she can't. She ends up making a pass that gets deflected, and it results in a turnover, right? But if you wind it back just a little bit, you'll see that West Virginia has successfully forced Iowa State into playing 4-on-3 because they have left one defender on the other side of the court to guard 2 offensive players. And so if Iowa State could get it over there, they could get an open shot, but they can't because the ball pressure is so good and the defense is extended so far that Williams can't make that long pass. She would have to skip it all the way across the court. Iowa State tried a couple times in that game, and it usually resulted in a turnover. And even if you make that pass, the amount of time that it takes to get there is really going to negate any kind of advantage that you get from making the pass. And so Iowa State's kind of stuck playing 4-on-3, or really 3-on-2 in this case, with Audi and Jada, and it results in a turnover. And you see, actually, Elisa Williams attacked the middle, but it's too late. So if Iowa State could get to that earlier, you might see some more success. And if we go to the next possession, this is, again, late third quarter, and you see it again. A double on Audie. You see the defense extended out. This is Sydney Harris holding the ball in the corner. The defense has extended out on Beatty. They extended out on Reagan Wilson because, again, they're trying to trap the ball on one side of the court. And you have a wide open player on the other side of the court. Can't quite tell who that is in this clip. But they just can't get the ball there because of the defensive pressure by West Virginia. And again, you have a baseline drive that results in a turnover. And so, this was a trend in the West Virginia game. It was a trend. It was a significant trend in the Baylor game as well. If we look at the next one here, we see another situation where West Virginia brings the defense all the way out to half court almost. And when that happens, usually as an offense, it takes you 2 good passes to create a bucket, right? This is kind of how defenses have been attacking Iowa State on the men's side, right, with their ball pressure and their double teams, is it takes not 1 pass, but 2. If you can make 2 good passes and make them quickly, you'll get an open bucket, right? But Iowa State can't set up those 2 good passes. Here, you have, I believe this is Beatty, try to make a pass from half court all the way inside to Audie, and it never has a chance to get there, resulting in another turnover. And then finally, if we look at this last clip, it's the exact same setup that we've had, right? Elisa Williams at the top of the key, but they can't get her the ball because the defense has extended out. In this case, they only have 1 on Audie, but they have 2 defenders in range, who are able to come over and help out if they should try to make that pass. And then the ball pressure is so good. They extend it all the way out to the sideline, almost to the logo. And Iowa State just can't move the ball from that position quickly enough to create an advantage because they're not attacking the middle. The way to beat the extended defense is you have to attack the middle. That also takes a lot of pressure off your post player. You can run high-low out of it and kind of alleviate that double team. But you see in this scenario, now they take away the middle. Iowa State makes the skip pass, but it doesn't result in anything. They make the correct pass, and they still can't create an advantage. And now we're back in the exact same scenario where Iowa State can't get it to the top of the key. West Virginia is trying to trap it on one side. So they make the same exact skip pass right back. And this one is errant. It almost resulted in a turnover. It's saved in, but now you're in the same situation. So Iowa State makes the skip pass twice. They get the ball to the third side, which is normally really good in basketball. But because those passes take so long to travel, West Virginia is just able to put Iowa State in the exact same situation. And those passes create no advantage, right? And this is part of the advantage of getting to the middle, is it's a short pass, it doesn't take much time, and there's tons of passing lanes from that. You could throw the ball 360 degrees. You can have people get open from the middle if you can get there. And this one obviously results in an off-balance 3. So I want to look at here something, this defensive setup, right? If you look at this diagram of the basketball court, this is the setup that Iowa State saw a lot from West Virginia. It was a 3-quarter front on Audie on the block, and it would turn into a full front if Iowa State tries to make that pass because they're just trying to deny Audie the ball entirely. And this makes sense because if you think about Audie Crooks, right, leading scorer in the country, she's not necessarily a carry the team, take over game type of player in the sense that you can just let her go to work and not do anything, right? You have to get her the ball. Ever since the three-point line became a thing in basketball, the types of players who have been able to just put a team on their back have not really been the big men. They've been the ones who can handle the ball, who can create space themselves and shoot with the hand in their face and get hot, right? Those are the players who are going to take over a game for you at times. But an Audie Crooks can't just take over the game on her own because you got to get her the ball. You got to find a way to get it down to her. She's not really going to be able to do anything with it outside of the paint except take a jumper. And so now you're in this situation where West Virginia has decided, okay, we'll just deny the entry entirely. We'll not even let Audie get the ball in her hands, which is a great strategy and one that Iowa State needs to find a way to adjust to. So in this scenario, if you look at this, the defender on Iowa State's corner player, this was Kinsey Hare for a lot of the game. Several of these possessions, she was in that corner, right? They have a defender who's close enough to cover up on the shooter in the corner, but also close enough to Audie Crooks where she can come over and help deny a pass. And then you also bring the baseline into play, right? What this front does from the defender is it invites a pass over the top, right? A pass with touch. It's like a deep ball in football. And that brings the baseline into play where you have to drop a pass in between two defenders and the baseline, and Audie has to catch it. And that's really hard. And to make matters worse, they extend the defense, they get the ball pressure out to where that pass is now like 25 feet. So it's just impossible. And we saw this multiple times in the West Virginia game. Iowa State tried to make that pass, but it was too long and too difficult to put the ball where it needed to be, right? And then not only that, right? Iowa State couldn't swing it around to the other side because West Virginia came up to deny a pass back to the top of the key, right, where you can kind of go either way with it. And so the open space here is on the far side of the court, but Iowa State can't get it there. And it's also in the middle, right? Iowa State needs to get someone to either drive into the middle or cut into the middle, because from that scenario, right, if you get the ball in the middle, it's a whole lot easier to get it down to your 5 on the block, under the hoop. You can score from the middle, and you can kick it out. The middle of the court is the most powerful place to be, especially for a big, especially for a 5-man or woman, right? Because you just have so many options. It's kind of like having a 3-point stance, right? You can pass, drive, or shoot. Well, you can pass, drive, or shoot from the middle of the court. So if we look at this other diagram, you can see how you beat the extended defense, right? The double and the block. And you have to space things out and use the middle of the court. And the way that you do that is I think Iowa State is going to have to bring Audie Crooks up, right? You can either try to get someone else there. You can try to get, your Addie Brown. You can try to drive it into the middle and do something. And Iowa State has some success there. But at some point, if Audie Crooks is getting so much attention, in order to get her the ball, you're going to have to bring her out a little bit. And if you bring her out to the elbow, to the 3-point line, that suddenly is going to give you a lot of options where she can score from there. She's proven she can score from there with her fadeaway jumper. She can kick it out, something that the double teams have largely taken away from Iowa State. They've prevented Iowa State from being able to use the inside-out type of offense. And also from that position, you can get an Addie Brown, you can get her down on the block, right? A Sydney Harris. You can utilize the abilities of some of Iowa State's other players to score in the paint, besides Audie Crooks, if you bring Crooks out of the paint and you clear up the paint, right? Because now you're running high-low action. And this, in my opinion, is the next adjustment that Iowa State will need to make, because if they run that high-low, it's almost unstoppable. And they tried a little bit to run it in the West Virginia game when they had Elisa Williams and Audie Crooks on the court together. And it's probably something you'll see a lot more with Addie Brown out, is those two on the floor together. But they just didn't really look prepared. They weren't able to execute it. So I'm sure this is something that they're working on in practice, and it's something you should look for going forward, is the high-low action, right? Between Williams and Crooks, where you have one on the elbow, one on the block, and they're able to either work together and score inside or kick it out to a shooter. Because once you draw the defense into the middle, now your shooters are going to be open, right? And if you get the ball in the middle, they can't trap you on one side of the court. So, any kind of numbers advantage that the defense is trying to create is gone as soon as you get the ball into the middle. So from an offensive standpoint, that's kind of what's been going on with the women. If you go back and watch some of those games, Iowa State just hasn't been able to take advantage of the middle. And going forward, it's something they're going to need to do, get the ball into the middle of the court, depending on how defenses choose to attack them. But adjustments like this, right, this is what makes basketball this so great, is just the constant back and forth of coaches having to adjust what they're doing and then players executing, right? It's not all coaching. The players have to execute. They have to be prepared to execute whatever strategy they choose to put in place.